Alright folks, it's time for a new portion of the show. This is what I like to call the compare and contrast. This is where I take a look at an older game and compare it to a revised version of it. As you all know, in this generation we're seeing a lot of older games make reappearances on like Xbox Live or the PSN network. And the most recent one being Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD. And what we're comparing it to today is the original Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. This is actually Tony Hawk's Pro Skater on the Dreamcast. And the first half of this video, we're going to be seeing the original Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and for the second half, we're going to be taking a look at Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD to see which one is actually better. And first of all, this opening is kick-ass. I love the old Tony Hawk games. They just had not only great soundtracks, but also these great highlight videos, which were really cool. The Dreamcast version was actually ported by Crave and Treyarch, mainly because during this time Sega's relationship with big party developers had pretty much diminished. A lot of developers left Sega mainly because they switched from the Dreamcast. They switched to the Dreamcast from the Saturn a little too early. A lot of developers weren't expecting it, so they just wound up leaving Sega. So a lot of these games had to be ported by different developers, by secondary developers. This was done by Crave and Treyarch again. And Treyarch was secondary back then. They're obviously not a secondary company now. They've actually become pretty big since then. But with this version actually got the highest rating out of all of them. This was considered the best version of the game. So yeah, let's take a look at Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, see how it is. Alright. We'll choose Tony Hawk just for the hell of it. Go with the default settings. And we'll do the first map. Simple as that. Now, one thing that longtime fans might notice different about this game compared to the newer games, well, at least up until Proving Ground, is this only has 5 challenges. It would later, in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, get up to 10, and then it just, once Tony Hawk Underground came into play, or Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 actually, it just was a bunch of missions that you can do because Tony Hawk's Pro Skater got into the sandbox gameplay, which actually worked in their favor for a few games. But for the original one, it was only 5. Alright, let's see how this goes. It's not bad so far. Physics aren't too bad. It's fairly fast-paced. Okay, let's see if we can get skate in record time here. Oh, ow. Graphically, right off the bat, the game doesn't look too bad considering its age. Get the boxes, there we go. One thing that's really noticeably different is how kind of blocky the game looks compared to today's games, but back then this was actually pretty cool. Okay, that's box set number 3, 4, and I think I know where the last one is. Really, Neversoft's motivation for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater was to actually create a extreme sports game that was both kind of realistic but also very addicting. You know, this game, despite what people might think, is actually, I think, actually the most realistic that the series had ever been. It got a little weird once Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 and 3 came out. You know, came out with these like impossible jumps and all that, so it got a little unrealistic as the series went on, and got really unrealistic when it came to the newer consoles, when it got introduced on the 360 and the PS3. So yeah, this is probably the most realistic that the series ever got under Neversoft's development. And we're doing pretty good here. I think we got 4 tapes. I think the only score we didn't get is the extreme one. Let's see if we can get it. We're not going to get it. Yeah, we didn't get it. Oh well, we were close. Oh, we got all 5. I thought we only got 4. And we unlocked 2 levels. We'll do one more level, and then we'll get a look at Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD. And we'll do a level select here. Whether I want to do the mall or the school is a good question. The school is always my favorite from both the first and second game. The school was always my favorite because they were such big levels. Alright. Let's do this. See if we can get escape fairly quick here. And like I said, the physics aren't bad. This is actually pretty good. I think the only thing that's missing here that's become essential to the series is the grind meter, which hopefully, if I can get a view of it. See, when you're grinding, the meter's not there. They introduced that in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, and it was desperately needed. Because even though you were tipping over, you really couldn't tell how long you could hold the grind. And as the series went on, I think it was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 that introduced the manual move, because obviously I can't do it here. But, you know, control-wise, soundtrack-wise, graphics-wise, this game is pretty cool. So yeah, with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, how well does it hold up? It holds up beautifully. Particularly on the Dreamcast, you know, the loading times are great. And I think we can go in here, can't we? Ow! Let's see, can we go in here? Yes, we can! Beautiful. You know, this game holds up so much better than I thought it would. I wasn't expecting much, to be quite honest, with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I was actually expecting it to hold up pretty poorly because of the bad loading times that a lot of the early CD-based consoles had, but this, you know, it loads up well for the Dreamcast. Everything seems to be working fine. Frame rate wise, you know, it's okay. There are a few sketchy moments of the frame rate, especially when you're grinding. Like, everything seems to kind of slow down a bit. But besides that, you know, this game is really good. So yeah, that's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. And next up, let's check out Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD. And this is going to be the one that was put on Xbox Live. Alright, so this is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD. Well, this is actually the developers' names, as usual. When a new game comes on, they show who developed it or helped develop it. There was a lot of developers attached to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD. Now, everyone's initial assumption when this was being developed that Neversoft was returning to the series, which is why this game was coming out. But unfortunately, that wasn't true. Neversoft and Activision kind of had a really bad fallout when it came to the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater series, so Neversoft, I don't think, is going to be returning to this franchise anytime soon, which is unfortunate because when they handed it to Rainbow Studios for the motion controls, we all know how much that sucked. So I really want to see Neversoft back with this franchise because I think they're the only ones who can do it. But really, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD was not just Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1. It was actually a mix of levels from each game that has released. I think until Proving Ground. I don't think they included any maps from the latest ones, you know, Ride and Shred. I think it was just from 1 to Proving Ground, I think. I could be wrong on that. I haven't really played the game long enough to really know. So yeah, let's get started. Okay. Now, the game also includes a soundtrack from all of the games. You know, there are songs from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 all the way to Proving Ground. I think some songs were kind of poorly selected. Like, some songs are not that great. They do include some great songs from the first, second, and third game, but a lot of the songs that they chose from, like, the later games are not really that addicting. We'll do some single player, and then we'll take a look at the Xbox Live feature, which is introduced on this game. I've honestly only played the Tony Hawk games online a few times, so I have no clue how this runs. So this will be a pretty new experience for me. But we'll do the single player first. I've already played the game for a little while. As you can tell, I've already unlocked the school. So yeah, let's take a look. We'll do the school, because I haven't done that yet. Now they went very old school for the whole mission thing. It's just the 10 missions. It's not the like the many missions of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 and on. Okay. Okay, let's see if we can get going here. Here we go. Oh. Now, this camera perspective is pretty much identical to the early games. The only problem is that it moves a lot slower than the older games. Like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, as you saw from the Dreamcast version, was very fast-paced. And also, this camera angle is a bit confusing, mainly because it like zooms in when you're doing some tricks, which makes it a little tricky to tell when you're going to land. It's like this perspective, even though it is a similar camera angle, it's like the perspective has been kind of obscured a little bit. Okay, let's see. We got A. But yeah, let's see if I can show you guys. Okay, that worked out okay. There we go. Now, obviously, the physics engine is very similar to what would be introduced on Proving Ground. This very unrealistic way. You see that? You see how it kind of like zoomed in? It kind of ruins the perspective, and you can't really tell when to land. Ah. I'm not sure I agree with the whole slow motion falling thing. It seems like it'd be kind of a waste of time. There we go. I think we got one. There we go. Now I'm still trying to get used to the tricks here because this physics engine, I only played a little bit of Proving Ground. I honestly have not played much of the series since it left the normal controller and went for motion controls. I think I only played Ride once. But yeah, that's the end of that one. We got one. We got one challenge completed. See if we can get a few more here on the next try. I do like a little subtle changes to the graphics here. I'm not sure whether any of you noticed, but it did like this. You see like this weird this weird sun reflection off the screen from the sun shining on a school. That's actually pretty neat. Also, this game does suffer from a few frame rate issues. I'm not sure whether you're noticing it or not, but when you ride, sometimes the frame rate seems to jump. Like there. I'm not sure whether you guys saw it. It kind of jumped to the right a little bit. Small little errors like that, which is kind of expected because this is really a kind of complex game to be putting on Xbox Live or any, PSN, any of the online arcade features. So there's bound to be a few technical flaws, like the frame rate does tend to jump. The physics are a little slow. They're not really great, but they're not terrible either. I do like the little subtle changes they made to the environments, like it's more detailed. See if I can skate long enough here. Aw, come on. Again, kind of this weird perspective makes it tough to really hit tricks. And I'm noticing that they did change a little bit too, because used to be when you land like slightly turned like that, you can land it, but it would say like sketchy or something, like you landed the trick kind of sketchy. It doesn't do that here, and in fact, you just fall if you miss it by just a little bit. Let's see, try it. Oh, that time it got sloppy.